Sports Live for Tuesday. I'm Ramon Scott, and I'm joined by my partner, Dave Dickens of EastCountySports.com. Dave, we brought in three of the big stars from last Friday night's action. Of course, first, up in the, upper right-hand corner, I think we could say, Helix senior quarterback, KAMRYN BROWN, just in the middle, the top middle, if you will, Granite Hills defensive lineman JEREMIAH SATBERRY, and down there next to you, Dave, that's Christian senior wide receiver and defensive lineman TODD BEEZER. Dave, all these guys played big roles in their game, but I think the most important thing was these guys all played roles on winning teams last week. Big wins, really, for all of them. You could tell us why. You could start the interviews with these guys, but just want to hear, Dave, what you had to say about some of these performances of these gentlemen last week.
Yeah, first and foremost was, as I mentioned before, Felix's shocking win. How big of a victory? It's not so much the win, but how big of a margin the win was. And not only that, but not everybody knows it was also Coach Robbie Owens' birthday. So definitely a birthday wish come true for sure. I'm sure that's all he wanted for his birthday. And maybe you can elaborate on that big win.
Yeah, definitely all he wanted for his birthday. He had said it the day before when we were at our team dinner that, tomorrow's my birthday. It's a big day for you guys as well. And this cathedral win would be pretty big for us and me personally myself. So had to go ahead and get the dub for him and the team, of course.
Now, you had 2 weeks to prepare for this one, and I'm sure you guys were already well aware of how big this win would be if we, in fact, were going to get it.
Yes, most definitely. We had the 2-week preparation, and then that following week. Let me restart. Okay, the 2-week preparation. We went into the first week working really hard. Like I said in the interview on KUSI, Coach Robbie had us practicing in full pads that first week. So, we were trying to prepare ourselves really well for the Cathedral team, and then that next following week, strictly staying sharp, making sure we're reading our keys on defense, we're making the right reads on offense, and for the Friday night game.
So tell me, how successful would you say the actual scheme, the coach's scheme, Robbie Owens and his group of merry men that they came up with?
Well, we did have a lot of film time, so making key adjustments from the offensive schemes, basic reads, spreading the ball, spreading the field. Basically, not just feeding the ball to Fado, and you guys know this yourselves. Spreading the field and getting the ball to our athletes on the outside is something big that we had to step in. It's a different role that we had to step into for sure, and that's what we wanted to succeed in. That's what we did succeed at.
Yeah, Dave, I'm not sure we saw this coming, considering what happened the first two games with KAMRYN seeing maybe a majority of the snaps now at quarterback. KAMRYN, did you think you would throw Sept? I think you knew because you might have known the game plan, but caught everybody, I think, by surprise, throwing 17 passes, 13 of 17, Dave, for 164 yards in the 45-27 win over the Dons. Big plays, the 30-yarder to sophomore Christian Washington, the 44-yard touchdown to Noah. Not tremendously downfield, KAMRYN, kind of just getting the ball into your playmakers' hands as fast as possible.
Right. But keep in mind, those are all reads. So I see blitz, get the ball out to the swing, and let our athletes, do what they need to do in space. And as you've seen, it's shown. Christian Washington definitely surprised me with that run. Definitely surprised me. I knew he had it in him, but it was a big run for the team, and it brought everybody together and kind of was like, we need to destroy these dudes, put it on them. And it rubbed off on everybody else. Fado got him a big run himself. It wasn't even just his touchdown. You know, he had a few long runs from the swing position as well. So it was pretty good for us.
Yeah, Dave, I think what Cam is talking about, not only the short pass, and boy, really just a thing of beauty on those touch passes, Cam, getting those defensive linemen to come in and commit and just floating the ball ever so gently into the waiting arms of those players. But Dave, I think the most important thing that Cam was talking about was the 93-yard kickoff return that actually didn't even go for a touchdown by Washington, but it was the momentum changing play of the game after Cathedral Catholic had scored 2 touchdowns back to back to get back in the game. And Dave, I think the most important quote of the night came from Coach Owens when he said about KAMRYN's play. You know, at quarterback, we talked about him and the relationship with Delshon Traylor. Traylor set the tone with his huge run to start the game. So really there's no problem here, whichever guy's in at quarterback. But what Owen said after the game was he doesn't know where the Highlanders would be right now without Cam getting his time at quarterback.
Yeah, and as far as that goes, I want to touch on that briefly too. About we touched on it a little bit in camp about before the season started that you guys were going to share the role, obviously, and you had been selected due to injury to the original second quarterback. It was Jeffrey, I believe. And
yeah, correct.
So, what drove that selection? Did you just tell him you'd be next up to be behind center?
Well, his injury wasn't really until I kind of got that starting position. So I kind of want to say it was more of me beating him at the job from getting that scout team role and giving a good look. Coach O just said, "Come on over, get some reps on the starting offense with the starting offense," and from there it's kind of been improvement, and eventually capturing the starting spot.
And then how comfortable are you now? Okay, we've gone through 3 of them now, and you're preparing for Game 4. So, I mean, what's really the key to your success, the recipe for KAMRYN?
I think getting a better relationship with my line, maintaining a good relationship with our receivers. You know, we've been practicing constantly after practice, getting timing. You know, coming in 3 weeks before our first week, we had a lot to make up. You know, especially not being able to work over summer. You know, I was at the slot position. So getting the timing, and then with my line, making sure these guys, you know, are busting their butts, you know, being 6-second players. You know, Coach O always says you got to be a 6-second player. And, you know, being 6-second players and giving me the extra second that I may need to get the ball off. And if I can have that, we will be a top contender for this year.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ramon, so we wanted to get your final thoughts or any final questions for KAMRYN, and then final thoughts on this coming week and what his outlook is for this coming week.
Well, I wanted to kind of go around with our other guys too, and I have a lot more for KAMRYN. So I just want to kind of split the conversation up a little bit. If KAMRYN can hang with us for a few minutes, because I think we should spend some more time because this week's game with the Saints is so big. Now, as it turns out, maybe as big as last week's game all of a sudden, but want to bring in Jeremiah and Todd a little bit as well. Obviously, Jeremiah in the Grossmont Hills League, they're going to get their chance. They shared the title, don't forget, last year, Dave, with Helix. But, of course, the Eagles coming off their 20-0 shutout win over Westview last week. A great job by the defense, Jeremiah. Matt Millen, your buddy up front with 2 sacks. 0 passing yards against Westview. You guys, I know, are very, very proud of that.
Yeah, we emphasize on defense. off too much and always get at least 3 yards backfield. So we feel like if each of us gets at least that distance in, we can break up the plays no matter what the O-line is doing or who's on the O-line. We just see them as another line that we need to get through.
And Dave, these Eagle defenders, right now the Eagles playing really nearly the same on-par defense as those top contenders. I think maybe Helix and Steel Canyon just maybe a little bit under the radar, but guys like Jacob Hennessy, Zoe Cuero, Justin Harward, he stepped up big last week, of course. Austin Smith, Matt Keeley, and how can we forget Ethan Bishop? Dave?
Yeah, I was making sure you hit that last one. Give Ethan Bishop his due, as he has been a tremendous defender the last couple of years, actually. Granite Hills, and is he pretty much? Would you say is the leader of that defense, Jeremiah?
Yeah, during practices, he's always position. He just doesn't play every position, but I feel like he could if he was a bit bigger. But he leads the defense as a whole, not just the line, but all the DBs and everyone. And whenever we're slacking, he tells us pick it up, even the offense. Everyone, if whatever he sees, he tells us to it straight.
Jeremiah, I know I've touched on this too before with a couple of your other teammates as well. And how about the look that Granite Hills has had, the defensive look? Everybody is pretty much terrified if they're especially offensive coordinators when they have to face you guys.
Our coach always tells us that we have to think that we're the best. Not in a cocky point of view, but we have to have in our mind that we can go through anyone, and that's what we have in mind whenever we're going through teams like Madison and obviously Westview, and they have pretty big O-line also. No matter if they're bigger than us, taller than us, or anything, we're just gonna work hard and get through them, and obviously make plays, hopefully in the backfield.
And that's exactly what you did in this last one. Definitely a great makeup game and great way to get prepared right before league starts here shortly and get you on the straight and narrow after a tough, heartbreaking loss to Madison.
Yeah, that Madison loss, it was, for us as a team, it was pretty hard because we all felt like we worked, extremely hard to win, but it's just, little mistakes that we fix, that we emphasize fixing for this Westview game and El Centro game, and we're just gonna keep on fixing these mistakes. So when it comes to league, we won't have as many. We can all play coherently and all work together and be that team that goes farther than just the semifinals.
Yeah, good point, Dave. Talking about the job that they did, in the Madison game, even though we lost that game, they actually, I think, statistically limited Keontae Springs better than Steel Canyon did. Talk about those mistakes and maybe the game, they got those early defensive touchdowns against the Eagles, but from that point, the Eagles were on par with them, and I don't think anybody on that defense is too upset with their quarterback because he looks very, very good, and I think he's a good leader, and really a big, big key part of the team is, certainly the passing of home so far. So, Jeremiah, you got the bye this week, but I don't know, in 2 weeks, look, it's a game that the Eagles should win, but there are some logistical things that are going to come about in 2 weeks. You guys are going to go out and play the Southwest Eagles. And even though this maybe isn't the same Southwest team in the past, got to get on that bus and travel out to El Centro, sir. It's fun. It's a fun trip, but it also comes with it a little bit of fatigue, spending the whole day at school, getting on that bus, going to play a night game. That's why you got the bye this week. Tell me about the preparations this week and in advance of going out to play Southwest.
See, our coach tells us the bye weeks are usually the hardest for us because we have more time for them to work us and, work on the little things. If our offense today, they're going a little slow, coach kept them after practice, told them to run until they, got their speed up and got their heart up because, just gets us the bye week doesn't mean it's any time to slack. and we're on it every day, day in, day out, film, studying everything that we can. And just because there's El Centro, we're getting ready for El Centro, we're getting ready for Steel Canyon, and we're trying to work on everything so that we're not just focusing on this week, but the weeks ahead, because we do plan on winning league.
Right, Dave. Right after that Southwest game, it's the Steel Canyon game.
See that, Ramon? Jeremiah actually just rid us. You didn't see it, but he rid us of the old way of taking one game at a time. Give us a little secret to success and practicing up also for Steel Canyon ahead of time.
Right, right. And Todd, I kidded around. We were in the backstage part, and I said, "Boy, look at Todd's background. It's kind of showing us all up." But that's what we expect out there with your dad and the program putting in front of that beautiful Patriot banner. But brother, what was really beautiful was the performance on the field last week. Getting rid of that Soldotna loss, putting that behind us, and really beating a Monta Vista team. Look, everybody thought. I thought it would be a closer game. As it turns out, I think it really shows the strength of the team right now that you were able to go in and do the job, particularly defensively against the Monarchs. Tell us about the game last week over Monta Vista.
It felt good coming out and winning by a lot. It definitely gave us some confidence, and yeah, we played really well, in my opinion.
Todd, after a 1-2 start, it looked a little.
Dave, I can't hear you.
Okay. Try one more time, Dave. If not, I'll start up with some questions for Todd.
Yeah, Todd, you guys started off at 1-2.
I still can't hear him.
Okay.
Really?
Okay, I can hear him, Todd, but I'll finish off the questioning with you, Dave. I'll come back to you in just a moment. Get Todd to answer a few more questions, get your questions ready. Todd, I want to just talk about some of your teammates, especially in the performance. Nate had a big night rushing for those 4 touchdowns. Gabe threw for 156 yards. You had 3 catches for 80 yards. Good performance against them. How are you guys feeling after the Soldotna game? And I think a lot of people are interested because one thing I hear people say is, well, we don't really know. It's an unknown quantity when we're playing a team from out of state. How good were they? They rank as the top team right now in Alaska. We took a sizable loss. Can you compare them to a team maybe that you've faced over your years here, a comparative team in San Diego to Soldotna, because they really had a great night against us?
Yeah. To compare them to a team, I'd say they were a lot like Cathedral. They were fast-paced, very, everything they did was with precision, and they definitely knew what they were doing on both sides of the ball every single play.
Dave, try me one more time with a question. If not, I got some more for Todd.
Okay. Hey, Todd, can you hear me now? No? I don't think you can hear me.
Okay. Might be a technical glitch, so I apologize for Dave. I think maybe if the other guys can hear you, we'll check back in just a minute. But Todd, this week it's going to be a tough game. The Central Spartans are coming to town, and they're a team that doesn't lose very many football games. Now, maybe we're expected to win that game, but Central, they're coming off a loss. Like I said, they don't lose very often, especially in the regular season. What are the preparations like for Central this week?
They're a good team. We've been having more intense practices this week, getting ready. We know their offense pretty well, and our defensive line coach, Jonathan Stein, and our head coach, Matt Oliver, we've been setting up a good scheme for their offense, so I think we're prepared.
And tell me about, I want to ask about a few of your teammates, especially the guys that are having some big years. Christian Salacup, he had a big game against the Monarchs, and he's playing really well right now. Tell me about Christian.
Christian is very talented, I'd say. On a third down situation, I'd rely on him. He makes plays. He knows our offense very well. and yeah, he's just a playmaker.
Yeah, he is a playmaker, and he makes big plays. He makes long plays, long touchdowns. He's good in special teams. Is he tremendously fast, or is he shifty fast, getting out away from tacklers? Is he the fastest on the team?
He's not the fastest on the team. He's very quick. He's like sneaky, going in and out of holes. He's very quick, I'd say.
Yeah, he's been tremendous this season. And did you think that Nate could be the type of running back that he is right now? I mean, when I think of how his brother played, and his brother was such a defensive force, really, and so I thought maybe that Nate, might be a linebacker or a big. And he's a great defensive player, but someone needed to pick up the slack this year in the running game. Someone needed to be the new running back. Did you see this coming from Nate? 4 touchdowns against the Monarchs?
Yeah. I know he played running back JV a few years ago, and he ran every single play as hard as possible. And I don't know. I don't know if I really knew that he was going to do that, but he definitely has improved. He's stronger, faster, and he's great to have at running back.
Well, Dave, I'm sorry you can't ask Todd very many questions, but maybe we'll go one more back time around with these guys, maybe just a few more minutes. I've asked them for 30 minutes, and we've got maybe 8 or 9 minutes left. I'm going to go back to KAMRYN right now, and I want you to get a question ready for KAMRYN too. But KAMRYN, this is such a big game again, all of a sudden, against the Saints. So it's almost unfair that you have to go up and face these guys kind of on the road. And I think the obvious question would be, how do you avoid the letdown? What things maybe do the coaches focus on? How does a letdown work? Talk to me from a perspective of being an athlete, because look, it's just not, I'm not asking you guys to win this game, but you see it all the time in sports when a team goes and wins the biggest game possibly of the entire season, whenever it may come about, there's a letdown the next week. And teams, even the best of teams, have been known not to have their best game, whether or not they had such an effort in the previous game. And you're facing a great, great opponent. In fact, look at the poll this week. You can interchange both the Highlanders and the Saints between number 1 and number 2. Not to slight Cathedral. We were at home for that game, so that kind of helped us win the game. I'm going to say, I'll say it. But still, just a tough, tough game against the Saints. How do we beat them? How do we avoid a letdown?
Well, I think our team and our coaches are trying to press the issue on, staying focused, making sure that we're doing everything correctly, fundamentally. However, our team isn't really focused on the rankings. We're not really focused on who's number 1 or who's number 2. We're trying to get back for what we fell short, for how we fell short last year, and that's pretty much where we're at with that. Getting back at losing that CIF championship, the tough one, the close one, that hurt. It hurt big time, and that's what we want, and that's what we want back from the Saints.
Dave, I wanted you to see if KAMRYN can hear you. If you had a question, but I just wanted to say that, one thing that Coach Owens, I hope I get the measurement right. I think he said 51.5 inches or 48.5 inches, whatever it was. We dropped that 2-point snap, and that's what separated the Highlanders from the Saints in that Division I championship game last November, Dave.
Yeah, KAMRYN, I was at that game, and probably just a few feet away, and I can't even imagine what was going through everybody's mind. Almost a frozen feeling I can imagine of coming so close.
Yeah, most definitely.
Inches like that. If you want to elaborate on that and how to avoid those issues going forward.
Well, yes, of course, it was a tough loss. The 52 inches. We have a chain of 52 links that are each an inch long, and Coach O has that chain in his office, and every time we step a foot in his office, we're reminded of the 52 inches that we fell short of the St. Augustine game. So he doesn't want to beat it down on this, but as a reminder to come back stronger and to fight harder and to be the better team the next time. That's all that really has mattered for us.
And how much confidence does this last Cathedral? I'm sure we're a lot more confident now that we've beat. I mean, they the age-old saying of to be the best, you got to beat the best. You did, essentially.
Right. It definitely was a confidence booster. Going into the Cathedral game, we knew what we had, and with the scheming and the game plan, we knew we were pretty confident in ourselves and winning that game. Coming off of this win, we'll have more of the fans on our side. We'll have more of the rankings on our side. But at the end of the day, it's all that matters is if we come out and perform at our highest level. And Coach always tells us if we play our best the whole entire game, 9 times out of 10 we'll beat the team that's in front of us.
Hey, Dave, a good thing I'm not a head coach because I would use the motivating factor. KAMRYN did allude to the rankings, and although Helix gets all the accolades this week, I would go to the computer and I would put it up on the screen and I would say, look at these computer rankings. These are supposed to be official. Now look at these, Cam. Cathedral Catholic is still 4th. Saints are 13th. This is state rankings, mind you. And Helix is 25th. So that's what would give me the motivation to try to fire these guys up and avoid the letdown. Say, look, these computers don't respect you guys. And that's what I would use, Cam, to motivate you this week. Hey, Cam, I'm going to play a little game with you. I don't want to put you on the spot. I want to have some fun with you and tell you. I'm going to name some of your receivers, and I want you to help me out. Now, I'm going to go with the easy ones.
Okay.
Guys like Timothy Christopher, Keontae Scott, and Jahari Hill. But you had a guy last week from really, I think he made kind of his first splash with the team. I want you to say Julius's last name if you know it, or if you can do it.
You're gonna kill me with this one, actually.
I'll try first. Try first if you want.
Go ahead. You can try first.
Okay, I'm going to try it, but I want to hear you try it after I do. And maybe Julius will tease us a little. He'll tell you if we were right or wrong. You have to get back to me on this. Julius Letuliaga Sanoa. How's that sound?
That was actually really close.
Okay, really so you've heard it, and that's not quite right. You try to say it.
That's definitely not one that can't roll off the tongue well for me.
Dave, Julius Letuliaga Sanoa. I'll see if we're right down the line. I see a lot of names in football, and I just took a crack at it. But Jeremiah, another couple questions for you, and then we'll let all the guys go. I got another one for Todd too. But Jeremiah, this team right now, I just want you to talk about some of these other guys. Matt Healy. Now I see in the statistics that he's only got 3 interceptions. I wonder if you could joggle your mind. I had been writing that he had now had 4. I thought he had 2 in one game, but now I see maybe Austin Smith had a pick. Do you know if Matt has 3 interceptions or 4?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, say it again.
I don't know about the 4.
Okay.
I think Matt had 3 interceptions. I don't know about the 4.
Okay.
But from what I've seen, 3.
That's
Austin Smith has 1 also.
Okay, I thought when I wrote about it, Dave, I thought he had 1 in the first, 2 in the second game, and 1 in the third game. But go ahead, Dave. Another question or two for Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah. You touched on it backstage a little bit before the show, and I mean, just kind of looking at league, and we were talking about on in their high-powered offense and how they kind of returned to the glory of past. And I mean, really, we expected the same Grossmont team last year, and unfortunately, it happens to every team. Happens to some of the best teams, and that's the injury bug. And now we have they have proved that with a great line and with a tremendous running back. And what I'm getting to is we didn't touch really much on your offense and really how underrated possibly that your offense has been looked at as far as the media is concerned. I mean, Justice has been tremendous this year, a lot different than 2 years ago, and then also from Chris Olstring last year. Would you say more of a passer, if you will? And what are your thoughts on the offense this year?
For Justice in general, I feel like he, whenever he needs to throw, he does throw and he throws accurately. But whenever he sees a hole to run, then he will hit that hole as hard as possible. The thing about Granite Hills quarterbacks that they're all really clutch. I don't know why. I don't know how it happened, but like whenever we need them, they show up, and that's the same thing with Justice. Whenever we need Justice, he always shows up. He always throws it to whoever we see or whoever we know will get the ball down the field. And he's a great player IQ, for the whole game in general. I actually asked him for some of my draft picks for the fantasy because I was always like, if you choose this player, he's going to get injured and blah, blah, blah. And then it happened, and we're just all like, okay. So, he's a whiz for football, and he's there to have, controlling our offense. And our offensive line, at the front we have Dimitri, and he is extremely hard to get through. Ryan Dobbs and our tackles, Figgy and Davis. Our O-line as a whole is kind of older, but I feel like they're a lot better than they were at the beginning of the year. And as they grow together, and by the end of the year and by playoffs, they'll be a better unit as a whole.
Yeah,
and our wide receivers are hardworking in every aspect, and they really go out there and try their very best. And obviously, the results show that best is pretty good.
Yeah, James is amazing considering his size, Dave. And I didn't catch all the names if Jeremiah was saying just first names, but I did hear Dimitri. That's Dimitri Fuentes. Always try to fill in those last names. Give these guys their just due, Dave.
Yeah, I was also going to mention, and he didn't touch on them specifically. The go-to guy this year. Not that the receivers don't deserve credit as well, but James Johnson has been having another phenomenal year, as he did last year as well. Probably his best year in this 3 games.
Yeah, James is basically our number one guy. I've only seen him drop like 2 passes. I used to say that, he has he's pretty sticky fingers. And I feel like as we give him the ball more and as, we just let him go out there and do his own thing with DBs, and he gets open and he gives us plays. And I don't think he's dropping the ball that much this year. He's just a really great guy to have on our wide receiver and really great person in general. So.
And Dave, I want to get your most important question. I'm sorry that Todd can't hear you, and this is my fault. I'm still learning this little program here, and maybe I can work on that. But Dave, if you could just ask me your most important. I know you talk to Todd pretty much after every game, so I don't know if there's any pressing question. But if you could just ask me your most important question for Todd, and then I can reiterate it to him.
Yeah, it would just be. Is this the big turnaround game that we were looking for? Not only to avenge last season's loss, but to also redirect our ship, if you will, and start sailing northward.
Sure. Maybe I'll incorporate that with what I'm going to ask Todd. So, Todd, was the win over the Monarchs the game that kind of, gave you guys the confidence again following the loss to Soldotna? The fact that we had the 2 losses so far, maybe didn't have the start that we were expected. Was that the confidence booster? I don't know. When you win such a game, I don't want to say it was easy, but you guys really did a number on them. So is it a confidence booster, or is maybe a game like this week against a good team like Central coming to town, just one more win that you're going to need to really boost your guys' confidence?
Yeah, it was definitely a confidence booster. We played a really, really good game, and I think that definitely gave us a confidence boost going into Central, a really good team, and all of our guys are really excited to go play.
Yeah.
And play good again. So.
Yeah. Let me ask you about Gabe. I think it's unfair, and maybe the expectations were unfair because Gabe really, maybe all his work to get to where he is, in his career was kind of done off the field. And maybe it was unfair to have such high expectations. And it's a great thing that, a guy like Nate has been able to shoulder his share of the load. But to see the game that he had against Monte Vista, you're a veteran, Todd, and you've seen several good quarterbacks over the last couple of years at Christian. What do you think Gabe's future holds, his progression, if you will, and his growth as a quarterback?
I think his future's bright. He started working with us this summer, and it was a slow start. He didn't really understand our whole offense scheme, and now he's starting to understand. He's starting to be able to read our routes, know all of our plays pretty much, and he's learned a lot really quick. So that shows that he can do it, like learn pretty much everything.
And tell me
Hopefully
about, go ahead.
Hopefully he'll learn everything 100% by week 6.
And tell me
Week
about
7.
Carson so far. He does have 3 receptions, doing his job as a possession receiver. How's Carson feel right now? Carson Stroman.
Carson Stroman is actually out right now with a broken collarbone.
And did that occur in the last game?
Yeah, it happened second quarter.
In the Monte Vista game or before that, Todd?
In the Monte Vista game.
Okay.
I talked to him today. He said he's doing good. He says it's starting to feel a little bit better, and he says hopefully he can be back by after our bye week, which is next week.
Well, thank you for sharing that information. Did Jack come back to the team this week, Jack St. Fleur?
Yes, he was in Connecticut. He moved with his family to Connecticut, and he ended up coming back, and he had to wait the 10 practices to play. And last week against the Monarchs was his first game back. So
well, that's going to really help, certainly, if Carson's going to be out, because he made a big play, right? He already had like a big 30-yarder, and I think that's just the start for Jack, because I think given the way he looked last year, I thought that he would be a contributor. It's ironic, Dave, that Jack has come back this week after spending time away, and Jeremiah also had one of over at Granite, one of their receivers who was away from the team came back, also had to wait out that period and made his impact this week as well, Dave. That's kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah, Kevon Martin from
Kevon.
the running back at
right, Jeremiah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just got back from Mississippi, from what I understand.
Yeah. And as soon as he came back, he was like, Jeremiah, when's practice? When can I get out there? And I told him, came back whenever our game started, and now he's out there working every day.
Well, that's a real big deal for the Eagles. Hey, Todd, as a receiver, I just got to ask you about one guy. And, Coach mentioned it when we did that little show with him last year about how hard that Jesse Matthews was working on San Diego State practice squad. And eventually he did go on to be the Scout Player of the Year. And I wanted to know how closely you're following him. If you guys, I'm sure you went to a game already. Tell me about what you think about really the incredible career path of Jesse. It's funny because, athletically, when you watched him play, he was a Division I caliber receiver but maybe his size or what was it about Jesse, and why was he able to make such a strong career advancement once he went over and I guess he walked on at San Diego State? Tell me about what you know and how excited you are. I'm sure you're just stoked.
Yeah, Jesse had probably the best hands at Christian High that Christian High has seen in a really, really long time. He went to San Diego State, walked on, and he was on the scout team and ended up just catching every ball that was thrown to him. It doesn't matter where it was, just caught it over their starting defensive backs. So what I know is that the coaches moved him into the receiver position and tried him out there, and he was doing better than the starters. So that's how he earned his starting spot, which is pretty cool.
Did you go out to the game?
I haven't been to a game this season, but I'm planning on going to one.
It's a big matter of pride. It has to be a big matter of pride, Dave. I know maybe Todd can't hear you right now, but to see if anything, if all of our players, whoever our friends are in the conference, are listening to this. This is San Diego State, so always follow your dreams, even if you can't walk on at San Diego State. Other schools, other opportunities. Look at what Jesse Matthews did, and Todd. I'll explain this to Dave too, and Dave, you can add to it. But Todd, I think what made Jesse, he's the type of guy that even if the pass wasn't accurate, I always thought of him when I remember plays kind of like on a sideline routes, and maybe the ball was just a little bit overthrown or thrown away from the defenders maybe, but his ability to kind of get horizontal and stretch his arms out for the ball and make hand catches and bring it in, and then, he usually goes to the ground at that point because he's diving for the ball. I think that's what kind of made him so special as a hands receiver at Christian. I guess that's what we ended up seeing, Dave, at San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean, I just think altogether, we're seeing really how rich the East County soil is out here too, and how, not Jesse, but how several others. I was just watching the other day with Sebastian and watching the SC game and seeing our old pal from Helix out there, Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, a lot of guys doing some nice things. Scotty Young at Arizona, also Cam. A lot of Highlanders out there.
Yeah, got to represent for the turf.
And also one passing thing, and then we'll get out of here right now. But, Jeremiah is going to be trying to chase down KAMRYN in league play. So I want some gentlemanly affection out there. You got to help Cam up, Jeremiah. And Cam, if you throw one, loop one over Jeremiah and get a big play, no taunting, just gotcha. We got you on this one because we're all looking forward to those games between the Eagles and the Cougars and the Highlanders. And don't forget about the Hillers this year, Jeremiah. They are good. They are good. They're back. Believe me, it's a 4-team race right now, Dave, in the Grossmont Hills League. I'll wrap it up right now. Well, go ahead, Dave. One more thing?
Yeah, one more thing I just wanted to let the guys know about, as I do with the other recipients.
Oh, please.
Received honor. First and foremost, you guys, that was the whole reason I invited you on the show. Originally, I told you probably in the text or email or both, was for your outstanding performances from this last week. And it's nothing really big, but just a kind of a thank you to you guys for just busting your tails out there, working really hard. And we just really appreciate going out there and being able to you guys like we do. And I'm going to flip it around here if I can.
Going to get a good look at that.
Let's see if I.
Nice. That nice
There we go.
Nutterman's patch that we have for you guys. Thank you so much. These are our athletes of the week. KAMRYN Brown, the senior quarterback from Helix. Jeremiah Satberrry, defensive lineman from Granite Hills, and TODD BEEZER, the wide receiver from Christian. I know you guys play a few other positions too, but we're just limited to where you're starring right now. And Dave, if I've lost you, come on back and say goodbye to me. We're saying goodbye to these guys on East County Sports Live this week. Good luck this week, you guys. Jeremiah, good luck in 2 weeks against Southwest. David, good job. And for all the guys and for David Dickens, I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys for having us.